my only point is I want people to get results. I want Mike to get results. I want Shred to get results. I would love to see like my followers become the next Riff Lord, the next Tony Iommi, next Randy Rhoads, if there is such a thing. But you have to understand the way the game works, right?
You're like the next Riff Lords, the next Tony Iommi, the next Randy Rhoads, if there is such a thing.
I mean, going back to doom and gloom, Tony. Bro. Yeah, going back to doom and gloom. Is the Guitar Hero dead? Completely dead for good? You know?
I think just the premise of a Guitar Hero is probably a faulty premise, and that's why people are, what's the word? Mourning.
Disappointed.
Disappointed. Yeah, and that's a whole other fucking subject. I think that worship of people like that is so terrible. It's really unhealthy. Like acknowledging and honoring different than like fucking worship, you know?
Mike, I'm going to be honest with you, bro. We have gotten ourselves into a big problem as guitar players. There's a big issue with guitar players these days.
What's that issue?
We honor and revere these riff lords of the past. It's this ego game we're playing. We pick up the instrument. We are expecting people to worship us for our skills, right? But the reality is, in the year 2022, when we're recording this, music production, DJs, what the consumer is expecting from your music isn't even possible to deliver through an organic instrument, right? People are looking for something that is inorganic, that's manipulated via modern technology.
I'll take you even one step further. People are people watching us are expecting to get up there with an organic instrument, and people are going to start worshiping them. One step further than that, that's something they aim for as a result. That's kind of fucked up in and of itself, in my opinion. If you're chasing it for the sake of having people bow before you, that's probably not the most moral. This is
another tragic reality. It comes back to Shred's law number 1, which is that humans prioritize self-interest, right? So what we do is make decisions based on getting the best outcomes for ourselves. What's going to make us the most money? What's going to achieve the highest level of social status for ourselves and the ones that are close to us?
Okay. Having said that in our previous conversation before we recorded, I definitely do not like the use of the term self-interest in this regard, because the Ned Stark self-interest and the I want to be worshipped by my audience self-interest are in conflict with one another. Absolutely in conflict with one another. And by the way, I'm not saying Shred's law is wrong, but I'm saying,
How dare you, Mike?
I'm saying that there needs to absolutely be a distinct, like fucking, I have a lot of respect for what the new atheists did to discourse, and the guys like Sam Harris and Dawkins and all them. They brought a lot of brass tacks. There's money down. Are you really gonna bank on this? Like that stuff's very important. But then you can't use the same tactics of what they claim a lot of religious people use of self-interest. Now, at a certain point, someone is being selfless, is actually acting against their own self-interest in order to help someone else. And that needs to be acknowledged. And there needs to be some framework in order to cultivate that and in order to separate it from, well, it's just an evolutionary, what do you call it? An evolutionary trait and feature that allows for the race to continue. Like,
here's the way I would.
Okay, go ahead.
Here's the way I would break it down. There's an immature way to approach your self-interest, which is more short-sighted in nature. And then there's a long-term, more mature way to conceive of it. The Ned Stark way is the latter, right? He's thinking about his reputation, his legacy. How is he going to be remembered?
Well,
now, the short-sighted guy.
You could argue that he holds a certain level of spirituality with honor and duty, and his self-interest is to abide with those spiritual concepts. You could argue that. I'll make your argument for you in that sense.
Sure. And so what I would vouch for is say, listen, there is a more enlightened kind of self-interest that lifts all boats in the tide.
Hell yeah.
How can we come to terms? Really what separates the human species, Homo sapiens, from other mammals is that we're able to collaborate and coordinate our efforts. So if we can figure out how to unify our self-interest,
that's not an absolute
then
statement.
we all win.
That's not an absolute statement, but I'll allow you to keep going.
Of course, I mean, if you look at like dolphins, they coordinate. Orcas coordinate.
Primates, pigs, dogs. Like there's a number of them.
100%. But on the level that human beings do it, obviously, we're unparalleled. Not to say that you can't learn from observing these other species, and I think it's fascinating to study chimpanzees and how they use tools and how they teach one another things. I mean, this is wow. It's incredible to see that. It's like looking in the mirror of our past.
I definitely need to get you back on when my co-host finally gets his shit together and we can have him on as a co-host. Hopefully by that time we could also have you come in person. That'd be amazing. But
who's your co-host?
Casey Sable. He produced our last single. He's a very good friend of mine. And I align myself more on the believing in God, religion is a good thing for the most part type of side of things. Casey is very opposite that. but he and I agree on a lot and we disagree on a lot, but we're also like very good friends. And that's also why I think he would make an amazing co-host for the podcast. And I think having him and you talk about those things with me present would be fascinating. Very, very fascinating. I think it would kill.
Yeah, 100%, bro.
Hey, thanks for watching. This is a clip from a much longer conversation with Shredmaster Scott. You can see that on screen now. Go ahead and click it. You know you want to. It's awesome. We learn about, everything, the entire existence of the world, why guitar is absolutely terrible, yet also the greatest thing that's ever been created. Come on, you got to check it out. It's awesome.